A rash of robberies at Lexington businesses now connected, and Lexington police hope newly released surveillance pictures will lead to some arrests.
An NFL player accepts a plea deal in connection to a road rage case out of Madison County.
Following a historic snowfall early this month, there's still some cleaning to be done on Main Street in Georgetown.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening. An alert tonight for Lexington businesses. Police say they've now connected 15 robberies at restaurants, motels, and stores around the city.
And tonight, the robbers are still on the run. Here is a map showing those robberies. The first happened January 23rd, the most recent just last night. Kristen Kennedy has surveillance pictures of the suspects. She's live now with our top story at 6. Kristen?
And this Jimmy John's is where Lexington police say that most recent robbery happened. That makes it the 15th robbery in about a month's time. Now, because of this increase in robberies and because of their striking similarities, Lexington police are releasing images of the men in the hope someone recognizes them. Police say the similarities include the way the intruders enter businesses by jumping over counters or immediately confronting store clerks. In several of the robberies, police say there is an individual wearing a black and white varsity jacket, and they almost always have bandanas covering half their face.
Well, anytime a business is robbed at gunpoint, it's a very dangerous situation. It's unpredictable. And so what we'd ask for any business owner or any person in the community is comply with their demands, give them what they're asking for, and just try to be a good witness after the fact. Provide as much detail as you can about the event as quickly as possible.
Along with hitting this Jimmy John's, Lexington police believe that those robbers have also hit several other restaurants, several gas stations, even a Days Inn. Live in Lexington, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
Kristen, thank you. Lexington police say most of those robberies are happening between 2 and 6 in the morning.
Tonight, we're tracking the investigation into a bizarre chain of events in Garrard County. Police say a man started fires that destroyed a home and a barn before killing himself. Victor Puente tells us what police believe set off the events.
Both of these fires started within minutes of each other. The man police believe is responsible wasn't supposed to be on the property because of a domestic violence order. Police say it was the man's son who called 911. A man doing an inspection at a home next door knew something was wrong when he saw the 14-year-old.
Well, we didn't see anything until we saw the young man coming up the street without shoes and without a shirt on, and it's 14 degrees outside, so something's obviously going on.
He says the boy came to the door and asked to come in.
And he said, well, my dad's threatening to burn the house down, and he was on the phone at that point with 911.
Both the home and barn behind it were burning within a few minutes.
Within 10, 15 minutes after that, walked back out, looked down at the house, smoke was coming out of the back of the house, and at that point we knew that, something really bad was going on down there.
When police arrived, they followed a set of footprints in the snow to the barn. A trooper tells me they saw the man inside and they believe he was dead from a self-inflicted wound. The fire inside the barn was too intense for them to try to get him out.
That's amazing that you can lose everything that you've ever had in just a matter of minutes.
John Elliott told me the woman who lived here told him they built on this property because they fell in love with the barn that already existed here. That was the same barn that burned this morning. In Garrard County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Police say the woman who lived at the home was at work when the fire started. They say they don't believe the man had any intention of harming his son.
Well, it looks like the weekend will have a cold start, but finally a warm-up is in sight, but it's coming with a price for us. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell joins us now with an early look at the forecast. How about it, Jim?
And that's the way it's looking. We'll get a little milder shot of air by the time we get into the weekend. Even tomorrow will be warmer than today, but that isn't saying a whole lot. We've been stuck in the low and mid-20s, and that's where we find a lot of us right now. 21 degrees in Lexington, but now Richmond coming in with that 19-degree reading, so plenty of cold air to go around, and we'll likely see more cold as we head into the overnight hours. You just compare this to yesterday, we're anywhere from 10, 15 degrees colder in some cases in southeastern Kentucky. Other spots not quite as intense as far as the cold is concerned. We're tracking absolutely nothing on Defender, and that is a welcome change because by the time we get to the end of the weekend, this will change quite a bit. We've got more energy that we'll make a run at. It's just clouds out there for us this evening, and you can even see a little bit more. This has some moisture attached to it as well with snow in Missouri and also in Arkansas, but we don't have to worry about that. It's a system that gets here late tomorrow night into Sunday morning that has the wintry potential initially before we get those milder temperatures. And we will track that in here hour by hour coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Jim, thank you. After days of water shortages, Estill County leaders now say everyone in the county has water service again, but they say about 100 homes still have low water pressure. At one point this week, 3,200 people didn't have water because of issues related to the cold weather. The county is still under a boil water advisory, but county leaders hope to be able to lift that soon. Lexington city leaders now say the city spent $1.1 million on costs related to last week's snowstorm. The city spent more than $360,000 on salt. The rest of the money was spent on paying streets and roads workers, contractors, and weather-related issues in government buildings. City leaders say they spent $100,000 in overtime alone. Now, in comparison, the city spent $5 million during the 2003 ice storm.
A former Cincinnati Bengals player charged in a Madison County road rage case now admits to the crime. Orson Charles, who now plays for the New Orleans Saints, took a plea deal for the wanton endangerment charge against him. Last April, police say Charles pointed a gun at a driver on Interstate 75. New at 6, Miranda Combs tells us the terms of the plea deal.
They came to a plea agreement this morning. Orson Charles pleaded guilty to 1 year with a diversion period of 2 years, which his attorney told us basically means he'll be on probation for 2 years. We spoke to the driver that Charles admits to pointing the gun at last April. He says Charles came up behind him in the slow lane on I-75 near Berea and nearly hit him. The driver told us he made an obscene gesture at Charles. Then he said Charles pulled a gun out of his glove compartment and pointed it at the driver. He said he did it 3 separate times. During Charles's preliminary hearing, his attorney said he did nothing wrong, but today his attorney admits while there was some misconduct, Charles was eligible for diversion because he didn't have a criminal record. Charles's attorney says if he doesn't commit any other crimes in the next 2 years, the charges will be dropped. At the live desk, Miranda Combs, WKYT.
Charles' diversion will be unsupervised, but he will have to check in once a month with a parole officer.
A man who admitted to a deadly shooting at a Lexington bowling alley learned his sentence today. A Fayette County judge gave Devontae Webb 20 years in prison for manslaughter. Webb had been charged with murder but took a plea deal to the lesser charge last month. Police say he fired shots inside Eastland bowling lanes in April of 2013, killing Stephen Reynolds. In court today, Webb apologized to Reynolds' family, but Reynolds' aunt told us the sentence was just a slap on the wrist.
I was not satisfied with it at all, but it's nothing I can do about it, and I do, appreciate him apologizing to the family because that was something that we have been waiting for since it happened.
Reynolds' aunt also says the family does accept Webb's apology, as you heard there, but they'll never forget what happened. Tonight, we are tracking the investigation into a deadly crash in Pulaski County. It happened about 11:30 this morning on East Highway 80 near Somerset. These pictures are from the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. Deputies say 26-year-old Brian Brewer of Laurel County crossed the center line and hit 2 other cars. Deputies say Brewer later died at a hospital. A man in another car was airlifted to UK Hospital.
A Clark County woman has been charged with neglecting someone in her care. The Kentucky Attorney General's office says a Montgomery County grand jury indicted 37-year-old Sandy Gibson. Investigators say while working at a residential care facility in Mount Sterling, Gibson left a mentally disabled woman alone while she was eating. Investigators say that woman choked and later died at the hospital. The indictment does not claim the death was a direct result of the choking incident. Police have arrested a Frankfort mother they say kept her 10-month-old in a filthy home. Frankfort police say they were called to 31-year-old Shelley Hacker's house for a domestic dispute. When they got there, they say Hacker was high. According to the State Journal, police say they also found her son living among garbage, dirty dishes, and other clutter in the home. Police called social services to help the child. They charged Hacker with endangering the welfare of a minor and drug offenses.
Lexington police say they've started an assault investigation after a referee was punched during a soccer game. It happened Wednesday night during an adult championship game at Kentucky Indoor Soccer and Sports. Police say the ref gave a yellow card penalty to one player, but they say another player from the same team came off the bench and punched the ref. Police say the ref refused treatment and the game was called off. Well, it has been a long 2 weeks for road crews around central Kentucky. They have been dealing with multiple rounds of snow and even ice.
But crews in Georgetown say they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Mike Linden talked to city leaders about the recent storms and the hard work crews have put in.
City of Georgetown Public Works crews have worked 14 days without a day off to clean roads of snow and ice. All that's left are a few mounds of ice along Broadway and Main Street.
According to the City of Georgetown Mayor Tom Prather, his biggest concern when it came to cleaning up both Main Street and Broadway quickly was actually the number of parked cars alongside both of the roadways.
The equipment is large. These are very skilled operators, but still, you don't want large equipment and vehicles working in close proximity to one another. So we'll seek to avoid that traffic congestion as much as we can.
Crews have cleared the roads of snow, but there are still some mounds of ice along the sidewalks. If crews can clear them by the end of the workday, some will get the day off tomorrow.
My staff has worked an enormous amount of hours, and of course we couldn't do this without our staff. So they've been critical in all of this, so just hours upon hours of work.
City officials are working on a snow emergency plan in order to be better prepared for winter weather in the future.
We realized we did not have a comprehensive snow plan, and it was clear early in this event that the biggest outcome of this for us needs to be a better job of planning.
If crews can't finish snow removal today, the mayor says crews will resume early tomorrow morning. In Georgetown, Mike Linden, WKYT.
Georgetown's mayor says the city will host a breakfast Monday morning to thank Public Works crews for their efforts during the winter storms.
Does it protect student privacy or does it allow discrimination? The state Senate votes on a controversial bill.
Then fans are remembering Leonard Nimoy tonight, how his Star Trek co-star William Shatner is honoring him.